Hello, this is Yolanda Shields, CEO of Yes Bills, and I am so excited to be here with you today. And leadership development, especially women in leadership and empowerment, is so important to me. And I'm excited to join in with you today and hope you enjoy this time that we're going to spend actually talking about trailblazer. What does it mean to be a trailblazer as a leader? And how do you, as a trailblazer, set the table and invite others? You know, a lot of times we're waiting for other people to invite us to the table. And sometimes it doesn't happen at the pace that we that really should, especially as women. And when that's not occurring, trailblazers and leaders create the table and invite others to the table. And so we're going to talk today in this training about what are the characteristics of a trailblazer as a woman leading in your sector and leading in the field that in your field, whether it's technology, whether it's training other leaders, whether it's political, whatever field or sector that you're in. How do you lead as a trailblazer? And so today we're going to spend a little bit of time really talking about what that really looks like. And a trailblazer is a person who does or discovers something new and makes it acceptable or popular. So when you're blazing a trail, when you're a trailblazer, you're going ahead and you're doing something that someone may not necessarily be ready for, but need. And so you're going ahead and say, I'm going to go out here and do this, even though maybe it's not a woman that's done it before or someone your age has done it, but a trailblazer leads. They move out in it even when other people won't. And so the trailblazer is a person who makes, does, or discovers something new and makes it acceptable or popular. So when you set that table on an issue and you're inviting others to the table, you're setting that pace. You're blazing a trail that someone has not necessarily done before. And so the keys to being a female trailblazer that leads. You can be a trailblazer, but you're not leading. It's all about yourself. It's not about being just about yourself making it, but it's about leading the way for other women. And so number one for me is don't let the lack of the right credentials hold you back. Sometimes we're waiting on to finish school or to get that certification or for someone to give us the approval or to say that we're ready. Don't let the lack of the right credentials hold you back. Because sometimes it's about the giftings and the talents that you have that would allow you to move forward. And then number two, don't be afraid to dream big. Because when something is going to impact your generation or impact a sector of people, it has to be bigger than you. And if your dream and your visions are not bigger than you, it's really just about you. And I always tell people entrepreneurship is it's a mindset, and it's about coming up with solutions to problems. So if you're wanting to be a trailblazer, it's about coming up with solutions to problems. And then number three, set your goals from day one, super high, and write them down. A lot of times we're talking about our dreams, we're talking about our goals, and we don't have a map or plan of how we're going to get that, or how we're going to achieve those goals. So don't just set your goals, but set them high. If there's something that you can only do on your own and by yourself, your goals are not big enough. So set them high, and those that are supposed to walk with you will come alongside you. You will meet them, and they will be able to walk with you in that vision that you have. And then write them down. Have a plan. Have a written plan. I meet with a lot of business owners and startups, and they have actually started their business and they've worked with other people. I do coaching and training, and I meet new clients, and they've had other people they've worked with, but they don't have a written plan. So they're all over the place. And when you have identified your goals, but you don't have them written, you end up all over the place and working on things that are not going to get you to that end result. So make sure that you have super high goals and you write them down. Number four, find partners to go farther. Go with you. You go farther together. Collaboration is the key to your acceleration. It's not about trying to do stuff alone and by yourself. That collaboration is the key to your acceleration. We can't do anything alone. If you think about people that are well known and that we know in different industries, they had mentors, they had coaches, they had partnerships that allow them to move faster and quicker. So make sure you find the right partners and the right collaborations in order to move your vision, to move your business, to even move your leadership or your career goals ahead. And then stay focused on the end goal. You know, a lot of times we don't want to do the work in order to get to the end goal, but being a trailblazer, it's going to be a lot of hard work, and you have to stay focused in order to get to that end result that you want to see. And then begin early to define success for yourself. One of the things I did as a young professional is that I looked at for people that were doing what I wanted to do down the road. And I would go and ask them to mentor me because I had already defined where I want to be and what success looks like for me. You know, it could be different for many people. You can look at different things that people have done and emulate that, but be able to define what success looks like for you. Sometimes success is just being able to achieve your 10 goals by the end of the year that you have written down. Sometimes success is being in a different position at the end of the year. Or sometimes your success is a 5-year goal that you have for yourself to be at a particular place. But be able to define what that is for you, because it looks different for everybody. And one of the other things I want to share with you today is success ingredients. And knowing what those ingredients and what those things look like for you in your life, in order for you to be able to not just survive in your career, survive in your business, survive in your sector, but to thrive. And for me, some of those things are never set limits on what you can achieve. If you limit where you feel like you can go, you know, a lot of people said there's a ceiling. You can either receive that ceiling that people have put on women and have put on different, you know, even minorities. People have put ceilings on where they feel like that we can go. You can look at all the research and statistics. You can either agree with that and receive it, or you can say, for me, I'm not going to set those limits. I'm going to work toward those goals that I have for myself. And don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. A lot of times we feel like asking for help is a weakness. For me, not asking for help is a weakness. And when you ask for help, it's a strength, because we don't know it all. Even when I hired staff, even in past years, I always hired people that were smarter than me, because I don't know it all. I look for those skills that I wasn't as strong in, and that's who I hired to bring to the table to help me achieve the overall goal for the company. So don't be afraid to ask for help, because that is a strength. You know, people may say differently, but for me, when you ask for help, I see that as a strength, and I see leaders ask for help. When you begin to think that you can get it all done by yourself, then I feel like you're going to end up crashing. And the other thing is to have a plan, not just a dream. And we talked about that earlier. You need a plan. We can dream all day long, but if we haven't put a plan in place, then we may get parts of it done, but it's not going to be the complete plan for the dream that we have for ourselves. And this next one I see all the time: narrow down your niche. We can't do it all. And if you watch on social media, it will make you feel like you got to be doing so much stuff. Oh, I got to tweak this. I got to do something different. Find out what is everybody asking you to do? What is that niche? What is that area that you're always called upon? Start thinking about those things that you can do if nobody paid you. Find out what your niche is and hone in on that so that you can find success in that area. Because when you're trying to do multiple things, then you can't be great or excellent in everything. So you have to identify what your niche is. So take a few minutes, even this week, to identify what is that niche that you're just great in and people are always asking you to do. And even when you're asking for the different help, make sure, I'm going to go back to this one, be helpful and respectful. There's a way to go into meetings, even if it's you're going in and you're asking for something. Make sure that you're being helpful. I used to tell my staff, if you come to me with a concern or issue, come with a solution. And because, and even with that solution, we may not be able to do it, but at least you're coming to the table with a solution, and not always coming to the table with a problem, but also be helpful, be respectful. Even when you're coming, even if you're upset, there's a way to get across your concerns and be respectful in that process. And we talked about earlier, I can never talk about this enough. And it's been one of the major focus of my training, even for 2018, is collaboration is the key. And just, who are you working with right now? Decide who are the people that you can partner with and you can collaborate with to move your vision forward. Who are those key people? What sectors are they in? But I've just learned over the years that any projects that I'm working on, collaboration was a key to me moving it forward. Whether it's interns and volunteers you're collaborating with, whether it's you're looking for someone that's doing something similar and you guys can come together and build something bigger. Because a lot of times what we're doing is we're staying in a silo and we're building something, but it's not having the kind of impact that it could be having if you collaborated. If you think about companies that are billion-dollar companies now, they started out small with a couple of people, but then they begin to collaborate. And even with other companies, they brought their companies together in order to build something bigger. If you think about Microsoft, it was a few guys that started out together, and now it's a huge billion-dollar company. But it wouldn't be that if they hadn't decided to collaborate and work with others in order to build something bigger and to build something greater. So begin to think about the things that you're working on. Who are you collaborating with? Who are you working with to build something that's not just a great idea, but something that's sustainable and something that makes a great impact on others and on different sectors or whatever the company or the project you're working on. So make sure that you're identifying your collaborations. And then one of the things that when you're trailblazing, collaboration is key. You can't blaze a trail and it's just you. Who are you bringing along with you? And one of the things that we're finding is that even in 2016, fewer than 15% of board seats in Fortune 500 companies were held by minorities, including African Americans, Blacks, and Africans and Asians. Several minorities and women were not at the table. And as a trailblazer, these statistics can make you want to shrink back. But one of the things that I always tell women is if they're not inviting you to the table, how do you create the table and bring other women? And the other part of it, if you're one of the ones that's already at the table, you may be considered a trailblazer, but your responsibility is to bring others to the table. Don't get so comfortable at the table that you forget why you're there. And part of why you're there is not just to be a part of that group, but if it's lacking minorities, if it's lacking women, part of your role, I feel, is to bring other people aboard. But sometimes we get comfortable because we have made it and we're there. So think about those environments that you're in. You may be the only one. I've been in meetings where I was the only woman, I was the only minority, and my responsibility was, who else can I bring to the table that can continue to diversify this board, to diversify this company? So even though these statistics say that there's more need for women to be on Fortune 500 boards, when you arrive there, you have to remember part of your responsibility is to open the door for the next person, and that's what a trailblazer does. And sometimes even in that trailblazing, you may be the first. And being the first can be really challenging. It can be very hard. You're facing tough challenges and pioneering new things when pursuing your passion. You may encounter tough challenges. You may also face times when you're the first woman or the first African American or the first minority at the table. And as I said earlier, even though you're the first, you shouldn't be the last. And so when you arrive there as a trailblazer and as a leader, your responsibility is to bring the next person along with you. And so even though the challenges may come, the things that you're going to learn through that process is something that you can pass along to other people, saying, this is how the journey was for me, and I know that this can be the same journey for you, and this is what I had to overcome in order to get there. But once you're there, just reminding them their responsibility is to help open the door for other women, for other minorities, to not just be the first. You can be the first, but you shouldn't be the last. And so as we've talked today, I just want to remind you some of the things that we've kind of talked about today. And part of that is really researching what is your focus, what is your niche area, and honing in on that, and researching different parts of your sector or different parts of your career path or your business, and figuring out who is your customer, what is going to be your focus even with that customer, and figuring out your niche area so that you're not all over the place. And then set goals, map out where you're going, know the things that you need to do in order to get to your divine destination. And then that next thing is to take action. Take it to the next level. Once you have mapped out all of these things, and even if you're at that place now, what's next for you, and what are the things that you need to do to prepare for that next level of business for yourself, for career path, whatever sector you're in? What is that next for you, and what actions do you need to take as a leader and as a trailblazer in order to make that happen? And I'm so excited that you joined me today. And I hope this information is something that will challenge you, will make you think about what it means to be a trailblazer, and where are you as a trailblazer, as a leader, as you think about some of the things we've talked about today. What is those things you need to be working on in order for you to begin to blaze those trails, which you know that you've been called and destined to do as a leader and as a trailblazer. So thank you so much for joining me today, and you can reach me on social media at Yes Builds, and also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can reach out to at my website at yesbuilds.com. And thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.